What if I told you that the one skill separating extraordinary achievers from everyone else isn't talent, isn't luck, isn't even hard work alone, but something far more fundamental, something you already possess but have never fully awakened? The power of concentration, the ability to focus your mental energy like a laser beam on a single point, holds the key to unlocking every dream you've ever cherished, every goal you've ever imagined, and every version of yourself you've ever wanted to become. This is not just another self-help promise. This is a truth that has been proven by every single person who has ever achieved anything significant in human history. And today, you are going to discover exactly how to harness this power for yourself. Henry Harrison Brown's transformative work reveals a truth that changes everything. Your mind is not a wild horse that controls you. It is an instrument waiting for a master, and that master must be you. Every moment you spend scattered, distracted, pulled in 1,000 directions, you are literally scattering your power, diluting your potential, and postponing your success. But when you learn to gather all that mental energy, when you learn to direct it with precision and purpose, you become unstoppable, you become magnetic, you become someone who doesn't just dream about success but commands it into existence. The difference between where you are now and where you want to be is not a matter of circumstances, resources, or opportunities. It is a matter of learning to focus your mind with absolute clarity and unwavering determination. Brown understood something profound, something that most people miss entirely in their pursuit of success: that concentration is not merely a technique or a skill to be practiced occasionally. It is the very foundation of all achievement, the cornerstone of every great accomplishment in human history. Think about every inventor who ever lived, every artist who created masterpieces that moved millions, every entrepreneur who built empires from nothing, every scientist who unlocked nature's deepest secrets, every leader who inspired nations, every athlete who shattered records. What united them all? Not genius alone, not opportunity alone, not connections or money or favorable circumstances, but the ability to focus their entire being on a single objective until that objective became reality. This is the secret hiding in plain sight, and once you understand it, once you truly grasp its implications, your entire approach to life will transform. The journey Brown takes us on begins with a fundamental question that most people never even think to ask. What is concentration, really? It is not, as many believe, simply the act of thinking hard about something. It is not strain, it is not tension, it is not forcing your mind into submission through sheer willpower. True concentration, Brown explains with remarkable clarity, is the natural gathering of your mental forces into a unified stream of consciousness, directed toward a specific purpose with the gentle power of water flowing downhill, not the harsh force of a battering ram. It is like taking scattered rays of sunlight and focusing them through a magnifying glass until they create fire. Separately, those rays are gentle, harmless, almost imperceptible, barely warm on your skin. United and focused through that lens, they become a force that can ignite anything, that can start fires, that can transform matter itself. This is what happens to your mental energy when you learn to concentrate it properly. Your mind right now, in this very moment, is generating tremendous power, more power than you probably realize. But that power is diffused across countless thoughts, worries, distractions, random memories, future anxieties, and mental wanderings that serve no purpose whatsoever. Imagine if you could gather all that scattered energy, every stray thought, every moment of attention you give to things that don't matter, every bit of mental energy you waste on worry and doubt and useless speculation, and redirect it toward your most important goals. The transformation would be instant and dramatic, almost shocking in its intensity. You would accomplish in weeks what previously took months or even years. You would solve problems that once seemed insurmountable. You would attract opportunities that once seemed to pass you by without even noticing you existed. you would become a completely different person, not through changing who you are but through fully becoming who you already are beneath all the distraction and mental noise. Brown teaches us that the first step in developing concentration, the absolute foundation upon which everything else builds, is understanding the nature of thought itself. Thoughts are not random occurrences happening to you. They are creations you are actively generating, whether consciously or unconsciously, every single moment of every single day. Every thought you think is a form of energy, a vibration that affects not only your internal state but radiates outward, affecting your circumstances, your relationships, your health, your opportunities, your entire life experience in ways both subtle and profound. When you think scattered thoughts, you create scattered results. Your life becomes a reflection of mental chaos. When you think focused, purposeful thoughts, you create focused, purposeful results. Your life becomes a reflection of mental clarity and power. This is not mystical thinking. This is observable cause and effect. And once you see it clearly, once you recognize the direct connection between your mental state and your life circumstances, everything changes. Consider for a moment, really stop and think about this, the average person's mental state throughout their day. They wake up and immediately their mind jumps to worries about the day ahead, what they have to do, what might go wrong, who they need to please, then to regrets about yesterday, things they said wrong, opportunities they missed, mistakes they made, then to their phone checking messages and social media, comparing their life to others, feeling inadequate, then to breakfast, eating without really tasting, then back to worries, deeper worries about money, health, relationships, then to memories, often painful ones that serve no purpose, then to fantasies, usually about winning the lottery or somehow being rescued from their life, then to more worries, and on in an endless cycle. Their attention is like a pinball, bouncing frantically from one thing to another with no direction, no purpose, no power whatsoever. By the end of the day, they feel completely exhausted, drained of all energy, yet when they look back at what they actually accomplished, they have accomplished little of real value, little that moved them toward their goals, little that mattered. Why? Because their mental energy has been completely dispersed, scattered to the four winds, used up in mental activities that produce nothing but more exhaustion. Now contrast this with someone who has mastered concentration, someone who has learned Brown's principles and applied them consistently. They wake up and immediately establish a clear intention for their day. They decide in advance how they will direct their mental energy. They direct their first thoughts deliberately, perhaps to gratitude for another day of life and opportunity, perhaps to visualization of their goals already achieved, perhaps to affirmations of their power and potential and worthiness. Throughout the day, when distractions arise, and they absolutely will arise because distraction is the default state of modern life, this person notices them without being controlled by them. They see the distraction but they don't follow it. They gently, firmly return their attention to what matters, to what they have chosen to focus on. They work on important tasks with complete absorption, giving each task their full presence, their complete attention, as if nothing else in the world exists in that moment. By day's end, they have accomplished more than most people accomplish in a week. Yet they feel energized rather than depleted, because they have used their mental energy efficiently rather than wastefully, like someone who carefully tends a fire versus someone who scatters burning coals everywhere and wonders why nothing stays warm. Brown reveals that developing concentration is not about adding something new to your life, not about learning some complex technique or acquiring some special knowledge. It is about removing obstacles that prevent your natural focusing ability from emerging. These obstacles are habits, patterns of distraction you have reinforced over years or even decades, neural pathways in your brain that have been carved deeper and deeper through repetition until they seem like permanent features of who you are. The good news, the incredibly liberating news that should fill you with hope right now, is that any habit can be changed. Any pattern can be interrupted. Any obstacle can be removed. Any neural pathway can be replaced with a new one. It simply requires awareness, the recognition that these patterns exist and are not serving you, intention, the decision to change them, and practice, the consistent application of new behaviors until they become automatic. This is within your power, completely within your control. It depends on nothing outside yourself. One of the most powerful obstacles to concentration, perhaps the single biggest barrier most people face, is what Brown calls mental wandering, the tendency of the mind to drift from thought to thought without conscious direction, like a boat without a rudder drifting wherever the current takes it. This wandering feels natural because it is habitual. You have been doing it for so long that it seems like just the way minds work, but it is not inevitable. It is not an unchangeable feature of human consciousness. You can train your mind to stay focused on chosen subjects, and this training is exactly like building a muscle in your body. At first, it feels difficult, even impossible. Your mind feels weak. It cannot hold attention for more than a few seconds before wandering off. Your mind resists. It wants to wander. It has been wandering freely for so long that being directed feels uncomfortable, even painful. But if you persist, if you practice daily even when it feels futile, even when you see no progress, the muscle grows stronger day by day. What once required tremendous effort becomes increasingly natural until focused attention becomes your default state rather than your exceptional state, until concentration becomes who you are rather than something you occasionally do. Brown suggests practical exercises for building concentration, simple yet profoundly effective techniques that anyone can implement immediately, right now, today, without any special equipment or circumstances. One such exercise involves selecting an object, any object at all, perhaps something in your room right now as you listen to this, a cup, a book, a plant, anything, and studying it with complete attention for 5 minutes. This sounds incredibly easy, trivially simple, but I urge you to try it and you will discover how challenging it truly is, how weak your concentration muscle really is. Right now, within seconds, your mind will want to think about other things, to judge the exercise as silly or pointless, to wonder if it's working, to plan what you'll do next, to remember something you forgot to do, to worry about something, anything to avoid the simple task of looking at an object. The practice is to notice these wanderings without judgment, without beating yourself up, without frustration, and gently return your attention to the object. Notice its colors, really see them. Notice its textures, how light plays across its surface. Notice its shape, its contours, its shadows, its relationship to surrounding objects. 5 minutes of this practice, truly done, will teach you more about your mind than years of casual self-reflection, years of thinking about thinking without actually observing your thoughts in action. Another powerful practice Brown recommends is what we might call single tasking in our modern language, though he simply called it being present. When you eat, just eat, taste your food, notice the textures, the flavors, the temperature, the act of chewing and swallowing. When you walk, just walk, feel your feet touching the ground, notice your breathing, see what is around you. When you talk to someone, just talk to that person, look at them, listen to their words, be fully there with them. This seems obvious, even simplistic, something any child could understand, yet most people never do it, not even once in their entire lives. They eat while scrolling through their phone, filling their mind with information and comparison and envy. They walk while lost in thought about past or future, completely absent from their own experience. They talk to people while mentally rehearsing their next comment or thinking about their to-do list or judging the person or waiting for their turn to speak. By bringing your full attention to whatever you are doing in the present moment, you are training your concentration while also enriching your experience of life itself, making even mundane activities meaningful and satisfying. The connection between concentration and success becomes crystal clear when we understand how goals are actually achieved in the real world. Every significant accomplishment, without exception, requires sustained focus over time, not sporadic bursts of enthusiasm but consistent application of energy. You cannot build a business while your attention is scattered across a dozen different ventures, constantly jumping from one shiny opportunity to another, never going deep enough with any of them to create real value. You cannot master a skill while dabbling in many skills superficially, being a jack of all trades and master of none. You cannot create anything of lasting value, anything that will outlive you and matter to others, without the ability to focus intensely on your creation over extended periods, through the difficult phases, through the boring phases, through the phases where no one cares and you doubt yourself. Success, Brown emphasizes with passionate conviction, is not the result of sporadic bursts of effort, those moments of intense motivation that fade as quickly as they arise. It is the result of consistent, focused application of energy toward a clear objective day after day, week after week, month after month until the objective is achieved. Let me share a story that illustrates this principle beautifully, a story about a real person whose life was transformed by understanding concentration. There was a young man who dreamed of becoming a successful writer. He had dreamed of it since childhood, had filled journals with ideas and characters and plot outlines. He read books about writing, studied the craft, he attended seminars and workshops, he talked endlessly to anyone who would listen. About the novel he would someday write, about how it would be a bestseller, about how it would change people's lives. Years passed, 5 years, then 10 years, and the novel remained unwritten. Not a single chapter completed, just endless notes and outlines and promises to himself that he would start tomorrow, next week, when he had more time, when inspiration struck. Why? Because his mental energy was completely scattered, diffused across 1,000 different activities and distractions. He would sit down to write, full of determination, then check email, then browse social media, then make coffee, then read articles about writing instead of actually writing, then convince himself he needed more research, then get lost in research that had nothing to do with his novel, then look at the clock and realize 2 hours had passed and he had written nothing. His desire was genuine, his passion was real, but his concentration was non-existent, and so his results matched his concentration, not his desire, because the universe responds to what you do, not what you wish you would do. One day, this young man discovered Brown's teachings on concentration, perhaps the same way you are discovering them now. He decided to experiment with a radical approach, radical in its simplicity. He would write for just 30 minutes each day, but during those 30 minutes, he would eliminate all distractions and focus completely on his writing, just him and his words. No phone, no internet, no email, no music, no interruptions of any kind, just him and his blank page. The first few sessions felt absolutely tortuous, almost unbearable. His mind rebelled violently against this constraint. It invented urgent things he needed to do right now. It told him his writing was terrible and he should quit. It generated anxiety and restlessness and a desperate need to check just one thing online. But he persisted. He honored his commitment even when everything in him screamed to quit. Within a week, something shifted. Something fundamental changed in his relationship with his mind. The 30 minutes of concentrated writing became easier, almost enjoyable. He found himself looking forward to them. Within a month, he had written more words, more actual prose, than he had written in the previous year of scattered attempts, more than in all his years of talking about writing. Within 6 months, his novel was complete, a full draft from beginning to end. Within a year, after revision and editing done with that same concentrated focus, it was published, and within 2 years it had sold thousands of copies and changed lives. The transformation was not the result of suddenly acquiring more time. He had the same 24 hours as before. It was not the result of suddenly acquiring more talent. His ability was the same. It was purely and simply the result of learning to concentrate, to gather his mental forces and direct them with purpose and consistency. This story reveals a truth that many people miss, a truth that could change your life right now if you really let it sink in. You probably already have enough time, enough intelligence, enough resources, enough opportunity to achieve your most important goals, the goals that really matter to you. What you may lack, what is probably the only thing standing between you and success, is concentration, the ability to focus those resources effectively rather than scattering them wastefully. Brown's message is ultimately one of tremendous hope, of genuine liberation, because it means your success is not dependent on external factors you cannot control, not dependent on luck or privilege or circumstances or other people's decisions. It is dependent on developing an internal skill that is completely within your control, that you can start developing right now, today, this moment. The relationship between concentration and willpower is another crucial aspect of Brown's teaching that most people completely misunderstand. Many people believe they lack willpower. They look at their lives and see all the times they couldn't stick to their commitments, couldn't resist temptations, couldn't maintain discipline, and they conclude that they are weak, that they lack some essential quality that successful people possess. Brown reveals that what appears to be weak willpower is actually weak concentration. They are not two different things. They are the same thing seen from different angles. When your mind is scattered, when you are not fully present to your intentions and values, when your attention is split across 1,000 different concerns and distractions, you are easily swayed by impulses and temptations because you are not really present to your deeper commitment. You have forgotten what you really want. But when you develop strong concentration, when you can hold your attention on your chosen goals and values, when you can remain present to what really matters to you, willpower becomes almost effortless, not because you are forcing yourself through discipline but because you are naturally aligned with your true intentions. Think about the times you have been deeply absorbed in something you love, perhaps a hobby that captivates you, a conversation with someone fascinating, a creative project that flows naturally, a book or movie that completely absorbed your attention. During those moments, did you need willpower to avoid distractions? Did you have to force yourself to stay focused? No, of course not, because you were naturally concentrated. You were in a flow state where your attention was unified and everything else fell away. Brown teaches that you can learn to enter this state at will, not just with activities that naturally absorb you, but with any activity you choose to focus on, including and especially the activities necessary for your success, the activities that might not feel naturally enjoyable but are crucial for achieving your goals. The connection between concentration and creativity is profound and often completely overlooked by people trying to be more creative. Many people believe creativity is about inspiration striking randomly from some mysterious source, about waiting passively for the muse to visit, about hoping that one day they will wake up with a brilliant idea. Brown reveals that while inspiration does exist, while those moments of sudden insight are real, they favor the concentrated mind. They come to those who have prepared the ground through focused attention. When you focus deeply on a problem or challenge, when you hold it in your awareness without forcing solutions, without straining, your subconscious mind goes to work in ways you cannot consciously perceive. Ideas emerge seemingly from nowhere, connections form between concepts that seemed unrelated, insights arise fully formed. This is not magic, it is not mysterious, it is the natural result of directed mental energy, your brain working on problems in the background while your conscious attention remains gently focused on them. The scattered mind generates scattered ideas, most of them borrowed from others, superficial, impractical, forgotten as quickly as they arise. The concentrated mind generates breakthrough ideas, genuine innovation, creative solutions that change everything, ideas that have power and depth and originality. Consider the greatest inventors, artists, and thinkers throughout history, the people whose names we still remember centuries later. They were not necessarily more intelligent than their peers, not necessarily more educated or privileged, or lucky. What they had was more concentration, more ability to focus deeply for extended periods. Thomas Edison could focus for hours, even days, on a single experiment, trying thousands of variations until he found what worked. Mozart could compose entire symphonies in his mind through intense concentration, hearing every instrument, every note, holding the entire complex structure in his awareness. Einstein could contemplate a single question for years, turning it over and over in his mind, approaching it from every angle until understanding emerged. Their achievements were not miracles, not gifts from the gods. They were the predictable, natural results of focused mental energy applied with extraordinary intensity and duration. Brown also addresses the relationship between concentration and emotional well-being, and this is perhaps one of the most immediately practical aspects of his teaching, something that can improve your life quality right now even before you achieve any external success. Anxiety, worry, stress, depression, these emotional states all result from scattered attention, from a mind that jumps frantically between past regrets and future fears, never resting in the present moment where life actually happens. When you develop concentration, when you can direct your attention to the present moment and to constructive thoughts, emotional disturbances naturally diminish, not because you are suppressing them or denying them, but because you are simply not generating them in the first place. You are not feeding them with your attention. Imagine someone who worries constantly about money. It is their dominant mental state, their default thought pattern. Their mind is always in the future, imagining catastrophes, creating detailed scenarios of lack and limitation, running movies in their head of losing everything, being homeless, being judged and pitied. This constant mental activity feels real to them, feels necessary, feels like preparation or protection, but it is actually creating and reinforcing the very state of anxiety and scarcity they fear. Now imagine this same person learns to concentrate their mind on present actions that generate income, on gratitude for current resources however limited, on creative solutions to financial challenges, on opportunities they can pursue right now. The external circumstances might not change immediately. The bank account might show the same number, but their internal state transforms instantly, and from this transformed state, better decisions and actions naturally follow. Opportunities become visible that were invisible before, energy becomes available that was tied up in worry, creativity emerges that was blocked by fear. The practice of concentration also transforms your relationships in remarkable ways, creating connections of a depth and quality that scattered attention can never achieve. When you give someone your complete attention, when you listen without simultaneously thinking about your response or about other matters, when you are fully present with them, you create a quality of connection that is rare and precious in our distracted world. People feel seen, heard, truly valued in your presence. They feel like they matter, like their words and feelings are important. This is not a technique or a manipulation, not something you do to get something from them. It is the natural result of being fully present, of honoring them with your attention. Brown understood that our impact on others is directly proportional to the quality of attention we give them, and in a world where most people are perpetually distracted, checking their phones, thinking about themselves, waiting for their turn to talk, your focused presence becomes a gift of immeasurable value, something people will remember and treasure. Let me share another story that demonstrates this principle powerfully. There was a businessman who was successful by conventional measures. He had wealth, status, achievements, a big house, nice cars, all the external markers of success. Yet his relationships were shallow and unsatisfying, empty at the core. His wife felt ignored, invisible, like a piece of furniture in their beautiful house. His children felt distant from him. They respected him but didn't really know him, couldn't talk to him about what mattered to them. His friendships felt superficial, based on business connections and shared activities but lacking real intimacy or understanding. He was always mentally elsewhere, thinking about deals, checking his phone constantly, planning his next move, calculating advantages. He was physically present but mentally absent, and his relationships reflected this absence with painful accuracy. When he learned about concentration through reading Brown's work, something struck him deeply: the realization that he had been absent from his own life, that he had been chasing success while missing what actually mattered. He began a simple practice, deceptively simple. When he was with someone, he would be fully with them, giving them his complete attention. No phone, no wandering thoughts about work, no mental to-do lists, just complete attention to the person before him, to their words, their feelings, their presence. The transformation in his relationships was swift and dramatic, almost miraculous. His wife felt loved again, felt like she mattered, like he chose her every day. His children began opening up to him, sharing their fears and dreams and struggles. His friendships deepened, became real rather than transactional. Nothing changed externally. His circumstances were the same, but everything changed because he learned to be present, to concentrate his attention on what truly mattered, on the people he claimed to love. Brown teaches that concentration is ultimately about choice, about sovereignty over your own consciousness, about deciding what deserves your mental energy and what does not. Every moment, you are choosing where to place your attention, whether consciously or unconsciously, whether deliberately or by default. Most people make these choices unconsciously. Their attention is captured by whatever is loudest, most urgent, most emotionally charged, most designed to grab their focus. They are reactive rather than proactive, pulled by circumstances rather than directing them, living in a constant state of response to external stimuli. The concentrated person makes these choices consciously. They decide in advance what deserves attention and what does not, and they honor these decisions throughout their day regardless of what else demands their focus. This brings us to one of Brown's most powerful insights, one that revolutionizes how we think about mental discipline. Concentration is not about rigidity or inflexibility, not about turning yourself into some kind of robot or machine. It is about sovereignty over your own mind, about freedom rather than limitation. You are not trying to force your mind into some narrow tunnel of focus. You are developing the ability to direct your attention wherever you choose and to sustain that attention for as long as you choose. This is freedom, genuine liberation, not limitation or constraint. The undisciplined mind is actually the limited one, severely limited. It can only react to stimuli, only follow habitual patterns, only be pulled by whatever catches its attention. The concentrated mind is free to explore any domain deeply, to create rather than merely consume, to shape reality rather than be shaped by it, to choose its focus rather than have focus chosen for it. The relationship between concentration and health is another aspect Brown explores that has profound implications for your daily life. When your mental energy is scattered, your physical energy follows suit. They are not separate. Your mind and body are one unified system. You feel tired, scattered, depleted. Your immune system weakens. Your sleep suffers. Your digestion troubles you. When your mental energy is focused, you feel energized, coherent, vital. Your entire physiology shifts. This is not merely psychological, not just in your imagination. It has measurable physiological effects that scientists can now document. Stress, which is largely the result of scattered attention and worried thinking, creates measurable changes in your body, elevating cortisol levels, weakening immune function, disrupting sleep patterns, increasing inflammation, accelerating aging. Concentration, which cultivates mental calm and purposeful direction, creates the opposite effects, enhancing health, improving sleep quality, increasing available energy, strengthening immunity, promoting longevity. Brown also addresses the common concern that concentration might make life rigid or joyless, that constant focus might eliminate spontaneity and fun, that you might become some kind of achievement machine without pleasure or lightness. He clarifies brilliantly that concentration does not mean never relaxing, never playing, never allowing your mind to wander freely and enjoy itself. It means being able to choose, having sovereignty over your attention. When you decide to relax, you relax fully, giving your complete attention to rest and enjoyment, really tasting that pleasure. When you decide to work, you work with complete focus, not half working while wishing you were relaxing. When you decide to play, you play with total presence, not playing while thinking about work. The unconcentrated person cannot fully do any of these because they are always partially distracted, always mentally elsewhere, always divided against themselves, and this division robs them of both productivity and pleasure. Think about a time you were on vacation but spent the whole time thinking about work, worrying about what was piling up, checking emails, unable to truly be present to the beauty around you or the people you were with. Or a time you were working but kept thinking about all the fun things you were missing, scrolling through social media seeing everyone else's adventures, resenting your responsibilities. This divided attention ruins both experiences. You neither work well nor play well. You are caught in between, getting the drawbacks of both and the benefits of neither. Concentration allows you to be where you are, doing what you are doing, fully engaged with the present moment, whether that moment is productive work, restful leisure, or joyful play. The development of concentration also transforms your relationship with time itself, changing how you experience the passage of your life. When you are scattered, time seems to disappear mysteriously, days blur together into an indifferentiated mass, weeks pass in an unremarkable haze. You reach the end of the year and wonder where it went. You feel like you have accomplished nothing of significance, like life is slipping through your fingers like sand. When you are concentrated, time expands. Each moment feels fuller, richer, more significant, more alive. You accomplish more in less time, yet paradoxically the time feels less rushed because you are fully present to it, experiencing it rather than thinking about it. Brown understood that our experience of time is not objective, not fixed. It is shaped by the quality of our attention, by our degree of presence to our own lives. One of the most practical applications of concentration, something that has immediate relevance for almost everyone, is in learning and skill development. When you study something with complete attention, you learn faster and retain more than if you study with divided attention for twice as long. The difference is not incremental, it is exponential. A single hour of concentrated study accomplishes more than 5 hours of distracted study, possibly more than 10 hours. This has enormous implications for anyone wanting to acquire new knowledge or develop new skills in any area of life. The bottleneck is not time, despite what we tell ourselves. It is attention, it is concentration. By developing this skill, you effectively multiply your learning capacity. You give yourself more functional time without adding hours to your day. Brown offers specific guidance for different types of concentration, recognizing that focus takes different forms depending on the activity. There is the concentration needed for intellectual work, analytical, precise, sustained, holding complex ideas in mind and examining them from multiple angles. There is the concentration needed for creative work, more relaxed yet still focused, allowing ideas to emerge without forcing them, maintaining gentle attention without gripping tightly. There is the concentration needed for physical activities, embodied, present to sensation and movement, united with your body rather than lost in thought. There is the concentration needed for relationships, empathic, receptive, fully present to another person. Each type has its own quality, its own flavor, yet all share the fundamental characteristic of unified attention directed toward a purpose. The relationship between concentration and meditation is also worth exploring deeply because many people practice meditation without understanding what they are actually training. Meditation is essentially concentration practice in its purest form, training your mind to focus on a single object, whether a breath, a mantra, a sensation, a phrase, and return to that object when the mind wanders, which it will do constantly at first. This is why meditation is so transformative, not because it is mystical or spiritual in some vague sense, though it can certainly have spiritual dimensions, but because it directly trains the fundamental skill of concentration. Every time you notice your mind has wandered and bring it back, you are strengthening your concentration muscle, building that capacity one repetition at a time. This strength then transfers to every other area of life, every situation where focus is required, which is essentially every situation. Brown emphasizes that developing concentration is not a luxury for the privileged few, not something only monks or geniuses need to bother with. It is a necessity for anyone wanting to make the most of their life, to fulfill their potential, to achieve their goals. In his time, distractions were fewer than in our modern world. Life moved slower. There were no smartphones constantly demanding attention, no social media designed by teams of engineers to capture and monetize your focus, number 24-hour news cycles generating artificial urgency. Yet even then, he recognized that the tendency toward mental wandering was already preventing people from achieving their potential, already causing unnecessary suffering and limitation. How much more crucial is this skill now, in an age specifically designed to fragment attention, where you are bombarded with information and stimulation every moment, where billion-dollar companies compete for your focus, where distraction has become the default state and concentration seems almost impossible. The good news, the encouraging truth you need to hear, is that the same principles Brown taught over a century ago remain completely valid and perhaps even more necessary today. The human mind has not fundamentally changed. Our brains are essentially the same as they were thousands of years ago. The challenge of mastering attention is the same now as it was then, only the distractions have multiplied and intensified. This means Brown's teachings offer a timeless solution to both ancient and modern challenges, principles that work regardless of circumstances because they are based on the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. Let me share a final extended story that brings together many of these themes and shows how they work in real life. There was a woman, let's call her Sarah, who felt like her life was spinning completely out of control, like she was drowning in responsibilities and getting nowhere. She had multiple part-time jobs to make ends meet, family responsibilities including aging parents who needed care, personal goals she had abandoned years ago as impossible dreams, and a constant overwhelming sense of chaos and inadequacy. Every day felt like barely surviving. She was always rushing yet never catching up, always busy yet never satisfied, always exhausted yet unable to sleep well. She felt like a failure, like everyone else had figured out how to manage life and she was missing some crucial instruction manual. One evening, in a moment of desperation, she stumbled upon Brown's work on concentration, perhaps recommended by an algorithm, perhaps mentioned by a friend, perhaps found in a used bookstore. The path doesn't matter. She read it skeptically at first, expecting another empty promise, another technique that wouldn't work for someone as scattered as her. But something in Brown's words struck her differently, a ring of truth, a sense that this was not just theory but something practical and real. She decided to try his approach, committing to an experiment despite her doubts. She started small, recognizing that her life was too chaotic to attempt major changes all at once. She chose one goal that mattered deeply to her, something she had dreamed about for years. She wanted to start a business helping others with a skill she possessed. A craft she had developed over years but never thought she could turn into income. Every day, she committed to 30 minutes of concentrated action toward this goal. Just 30 minutes, but with complete focus, with all her being. No multitasking, no distractions, no excuses, no exceptions. She protected those 30 minutes fiercely, like her life depended on them, which in a way it did. At first, she doubted 30 minutes could make any difference. It seemed laughably inadequate given the magnitude of what she wanted to create. But she trusted the process, or at least trusted enough to keep showing up. She set a timer, she turned off her phone completely, she closed all browser tabs. She sat down and worked with singular focus on the most important next step for her business. Some days it was research, some days it was learning new skills, some days it was creating products, some days it was reaching out to potential customers. But whatever the task, she gave it everything during those 30 minutes. After a month, she noticed changes that surprised her. Those 30 minutes of focused work were producing more tangible results than hours and hours of scattered effort ever had. She had made more progress in 1 month than in the previous year of occasional distracted attempts. She felt more energized by this practice, not depleted, because the work had purpose and focus. She began applying the principle of concentration to other areas of her life, not as a burden but as a natural extension of what was working. She gave focused attention to her children when she was with them, really seeing them, really listening, rather than being physically present but mentally absent. She did her existing job tasks with more efficiency by eliminating multitasking, doing one thing at a time with complete attention. She even ate meals with complete attention rather than while watching television or scrolling her phone. And she was shocked to discover she enjoyed food more and needed less of it when she actually paid attention to eating. Within 6 months, her business was launched and growing. She had paying customers, she had a website, she had a clear direction forward. Within a year, she was able to reduce her other jobs and focus primarily on her passion. Her income actually increased while her stress decreased dramatically. Within 2 years, she had transformed her entire life in ways that seemed miraculous to her, but weren't miracles at all. They were the natural, predictable result of focused attention applied consistently. She had tripled her income, she had quit all her scattered part-time jobs. She was working for herself doing something she loved. Her relationship with her children had deepened profoundly. Her health had improved. She was sleeping better. She felt more alive than she had in decades. And the most beautiful part, the part that brought tears to her eyes when she reflected on it, was that she had not found more time. She still had the same 24 hours everyone has. She had not worked harder. She actually worked less frantically. She had not gotten lucky or been rescued. She had simply learned to concentrate, to direct her mental energy purposefully rather than scattering it aimlessly. And that one shift had changed absolutely everything. Sarah's story demonstrates what Brown promised, that concentration truly is the road to success. Not just professional success but life success. The kind of success that matters on your deathbed when you look back at how you lived. The transformation you seek, the changes you want to make, the goals you want to achieve, they are all possible. They are all within reach. Not someday in some perfect future when circumstances align, but now, starting today, starting this moment, through the power of concentrated attention. As we continue this exploration deeper, I want to emphasize something crucial that Brown understood and that changes everything when you truly grasp it. Concentration is not just about achievement, not just about getting more done or reaching goals faster, though it certainly enables those things. Concentration is about reclaiming your life from the forces that would fragment and scatter you, about becoming whole rather than divided, about living with intention rather than reaction, about being fully present to your own existence rather than sleepwalking through it. In the deepest sense, concentration is about freedom, about liberation from the tyranny of distraction and compulsion, about becoming the author of your experience rather than a passive character in a story written by others. Brown recognized that in his time, and even more so in ours, there are powerful forces that benefit from your distraction, that profit from your scattered attention, that want you constantly consuming rather than creating, constantly reacting rather than reflecting, constantly comparing yourself to others rather than developing yourself. These forces, whether commercial interests, social pressures, cultural narratives, or just the momentum of habit, they all push you toward fragmentation, toward splitting your attention across countless trivial concerns while neglecting what truly matters. Learning to concentrate is an act of rebellion against these forces, a declaration of independence, a claiming of sovereignty over your own consciousness. Consider how much of your day is spent on activities you didn't consciously choose, that don't align with your values, that serve someone else's agenda rather than your own. How much time scrolling mindlessly through social media, watching videos you don't care about, reading news that makes you anxious without making you informed, shopping for things you don't need, consuming content designed to keep you consuming more content? Brown would see this not as moral failure but as the natural result of undeveloped concentration, of attention that has not been trained to resist capture, to remain focused on what you value rather than what captures it. The concentrated person is not someone who never relaxes or enjoys entertainment, but someone who chooses their activities consciously, who decides in advance how they want to spend their time and mental energy, and who can actually follow through on those decisions because their attention remains under their control. This is power, real power, the kind that matters far more than money or status or external circumstances, because this power goes with you everywhere and cannot be taken from you. Brown also understood deeply the relationship between concentration and self-knowledge, how focusing your attention teaches you about yourself in ways that scattered thinking never can. When you practice concentration, when you sit with a single object or task and observe your mind, you begin to see your patterns with clarity. You see how your mind resists focus, what tactics it uses to avoid sustained attention, what fears and desires drive your distraction. This self-knowledge is invaluable. It is the foundation of all personal growth, because you cannot change what you don't see. You cannot transcend patterns you haven't recognized. Many people go through life without ever really observing their own minds. They are so identified with their thoughts and impulses that they cannot see them objectively, cannot recognize them as patterns rather than reality, cannot choose differently because they don't realize they're choosing at all. Concentration practice creates distance between you and your mental activity. You begin to see thoughts as events in consciousness rather than as reality itself. You recognize, I am worried, rather than, this situation is terrible. You notice, I am feeling anxious, rather than, something is wrong. This shift from identification to observation is transformative. It is perhaps the most important shift a human being can make. The journey of developing concentration also teaches patience, that rare and undervalued virtue. In our instant gratification culture where everything is available immediately, where we expect results right now, the slow, steady practice of building concentration runs counter to everything around us. You cannot download concentration, cannot buy it, cannot hack it with some clever shortcut. You can only develop it through patient, consistent practice over time. This is frustrating at first, especially for people who are used to quick fixes and instant results. But it is ultimately liberating because it means the power is entirely in your hands. Your success depends on nothing but your willingness to practice. Brown emphasizes that concentration develops in stages. Like any skill, and understanding these stages helps you maintain motivation and recognize progress even when it feels slow. In the beginning stage, you can barely hold your attention on anything for more than a few seconds. Your mind is like a wild animal that panics when constrained. This is normal. This is where everyone starts. And recognizing this normalcy prevents the discouragement that makes most people quit. You practice anyway, gently returning your attention again and again to your chosen focus, building the muscle one repetition at a time. In the intermediate stage, you can hold attention for minutes at a time. You begin experiencing moments of flow where concentration feels natural rather than forced. You notice the benefits in your daily life as you accomplish more with less effort and stress. This is encouraging. This is where practice becomes self-reinforcing because you see results. But there are still challenges, still moments of distraction, still days when focus feels impossible, and the temptation is to think you've failed or lost the skill. You haven't, you're just experiencing the natural variability of development. In the advanced stage, concentration becomes your default state rather than your exceptional state. You can enter deep focus at will and sustain it for extended periods. You can also release that focus and relax completely when appropriate. You have true sovereignty over your attention. This doesn't mean you never get distracted. It means you notice distraction quickly and return to focus effortlessly. It means your baseline state is present awareness rather than scattered thinking. This is the goal. This is what Brown calls mastery, and it is absolutely achievable for anyone willing to practice consistently over time. One aspect of concentration that Brown addresses with particular insight is the role of interest and curiosity in sustaining focus. Many people try to concentrate through sheer willpower, through forcing their attention to stay put through mental effort, and this approach fails because it is exhausting and unsustainable. Brown teaches a different approach, bringing curiosity and interest to whatever you're focusing on, finding something genuinely engaging about it even if it initially seems boring. When you are curious, when you are interested, attention flows naturally without force. Concentration becomes effortless. This doesn't mean you can only concentrate on naturally interesting things. It means you can cultivate interest in anything by looking more deeply, by asking questions, by exploring with genuine curiosity. That boring task at work becomes interesting when you ask yourself how you could do it more efficiently, what skills it is developing, how it connects to larger goals. That difficult conversation becomes interesting when you bring genuine curiosity to understanding the other person's perspective. That mundane household chore becomes interesting when you bring complete attention to the sensations and movements involved, when you turn it into a kind of meditation. Interest and attention reinforce each other in a positive cycle. Attention reveals interesting details that increase interest that deepens attention. Brown also discusses the importance of environment in supporting concentration, acknowledging that while the ultimate goal is to be able to concentrate anywhere under any conditions, it is wise to set up your environment to support focus, especially when you are first developing the skill. This means eliminating unnecessary distractions, creating spaces dedicated to focused work, establishing routines that signal to your brain that it is time to concentrate. It means protecting your attention from interruptions, turning off notifications, closing unnecessary browser tabs, putting your phone in another room or at least out of sight. This is not weakness, not dependence on perfect conditions, it is wisdom. It is recognizing that willpower is a limited resource and that you can either spend it fighting distractions or use it for focused work. As your concentration develops, you will become less dependent on perfect conditions. You will be able to focus despite distractions, but in the beginning, set yourself up for success by controlling what you can control in your environment. The relationship between concentration and meaning is another profound aspect of Brown's teaching that deserves deep reflection. Life feels meaningful when we are fully present to it, when we are engaged deeply with what we are doing, when we lose ourselves in activities that matter to us. Meaninglessness, that existential dread that plagues modern life, often results from scattered attention, from skimming the surface of everything and penetrating the depth of nothing, from consuming endlessly without creating, from being everywhere virtually and nowhere actually. Concentration restores meaning by enabling depth, by allowing you to go beneath the surface of things, to engage fully rather than partially, to create rather than merely consume. Think about the difference between reading a book with complete attention, absorbing its ideas, thinking deeply about its implications, versus skimming articles while also checking social media and watching television, retaining nothing, thinking about nothing, just passing time. The first experience is meaningful, enriching, it adds to who you are. The second is empty, depleting, it wastes the precious resource of your life. The difference is not the content, it is the quality of attention you bring to the content. It is concentration versus distraction. Brown understood that human beings have a deep need for meaning, for significance, for the feeling that their lives matter, that they are contributing something, creating something, being something worthwhile. Concentration fulfills this need by enabling the depth of engagement necessary for meaning to emerge. You cannot find meaning through scattered attention. You can only find it through focused presence, through doing things fully rather than partially, through being here rather than everywhere and nowhere. Another crucial aspect of developing concentration is learning to manage energy rather than just time. Most people focus on time management, on scheduling and productivity systems and getting more done in less time. But they neglect energy management, the recognition that mental energy is a finite renewable resource that must be carefully stewarded. Concentration requires mental energy. You cannot focus when you are completely depleted, when your mind is exhausted from too many decisions, too much stimulation, too little rest. Brown teaches that protecting and renewing your mental energy is essential for maintaining concentration. This means getting adequate sleep, not as a luxury but as a non-negotiable necessity for cognitive function. It means taking real breaks, not scrolling social media which is not restful but engaging in activities that genuinely restore you, whether that is walking in nature, sitting quietly, playing music, exercising, whatever actually renews your particular mind and body. It means being strategic about when you do focused work, using your peak energy hours for your most important tasks rather than wasting them on trivial activities and then trying to do important work when you are depleted. It also means saying no, protecting your time and energy by declining requests and opportunities that don't align with your priorities. And this is hard in a culture that values busyness and says yes to everything. But Brown would say that every yes to something unimportant is a no to something important. Every moment of attention you give to trivial matters is attention you cannot give to what matters most. Learning to say no, to protect your mental energy for what deserves it, is an essential aspect of mastering concentration. The concentrated life is also inevitably a simpler life, not necessarily simple in the sense of easy, but simple in the sense of having fewer competing priorities, fewer scattered commitments, fewer things pulling you in different directions. Brown recognized that you cannot concentrate on everything. You must choose. You must prioritize. You must let some things go in order to focus deeply on what matters most. This is not deprivation, it is liberation. It is the freedom that comes from clarity about what you value and the courage to align your life with those values. Many people fear this kind of simplification. They fear missing out. They fear closing doors. They fear committing to one path because it means not committing to other paths. But this fear keeps them paralyzed, trying to do everything and therefore doing nothing well, spreading themselves so thin that they make no real impact anywhere. Brown would say that the concentrated person achieves far more by focusing on less, by going deep rather than wide, by mastering one thing rather than dabbling in many things. This principle applies at every level, from daily decisions about how to spend your time to life decisions about career and relationships and where to invest your energy. At each level, concentration requires choice, and choice requires courage, the courage to say, "This matters more than that," the courage to commit, the courage to focus. But this courage is rewarded with results. with achievement, with the deep satisfaction of doing something well rather than many things poorly. Brown also addresses the relationship between concentration and faith, not necessarily religious faith, though it can include that, but faith in the broader sense of trust in the process, trust that focused effort will produce results even when you cannot yet see them. Developing concentration requires this faith because progress is often invisible at first. You practice and feel like nothing is changing, like you are wasting your time, like you are no better at focusing than when you started. But beneath the surface, in ways you cannot perceive, your brain is changing, neural pathways are forming, the muscle is growing, and if you persist, if you trust the process, you will eventually see results that justify your faith. This is true not just for developing concentration but for any goal you pursue with concentrated effort. You work and see no results. You feel like you are getting nowhere. You are tempted to quit, and then suddenly, breakthrough. Results appear seemingly out of nowhere, though they were actually building invisibly all along. Brown teaches that success often comes not gradually but suddenly after a long period of invisible preparation, like water that is heated degree by degree with no visible change until suddenly it boils. Your job is to maintain faith and keep practicing, keep focusing, keep showing up even when you see no immediate reward, trusting that the effort is not wasted, that concentration is building beneath the surface. The practice of concentration also develops what Brown calls mental stamina, the ability to sustain focus for extended periods without fatigue or degradation of quality. Just as physical stamina allows athletes to perform at high levels for hours, mental stamina allows deep thinkers and creators to maintain focus for extended sessions. This is not natural for most people. Most people's attention span is quite short when measured honestly. They can focus intensely for perhaps 15 or 20 minutes before their attention begins to wander, before the quality of their thinking degrades, before they need a break. But mental stamina can be developed just like physical stamina, by gradually extending the duration of your practice, by pushing just slightly beyond your current capacity, by recovering properly between sessions. You start by concentrating for 5 minutes, then 10, then 15, gradually building up to 30 minutes, an hour, even longer periods of sustained focus. Each session makes the next one easier. The stamina builds, and what once felt impossible becomes routine. This is enormously valuable in a world where most important work requires sustained attention, where the ability to focus deeply for hours gives you an almost unfair advantage over people who can only work in short distracted bursts. Brown emphasizes that mental stamina comes not from forcing or straining but from relaxed intensity, a state where you are fully engaged but not tense, fully focused but not gripping tightly, working hard but not suffering. This is a subtle skill that develops with practice, learning to find that sweet spot between too relaxed where your attention wanders and too intense where you exhaust yourself quickly. It is like running. You can sprint for a short time but then you are exhausted. Or you can find a sustainable pace that allows you to run for miles. The same is true for mental work. Another dimension of concentration that Brown explores is what we might call meta-concentration, or awareness of awareness. The ability to be simultaneously focused on a task and aware that you are focused, monitoring your own mental state without disrupting it. This dual awareness allows you to notice when your attention is beginning to wander before you completely lose focus, to adjust your approach when the current strategy isn't working, to recognize when you need a break before you reach complete exhaustion. It is like having a wise observer within you that watches your mind with compassion and wisdom, gently guiding you back when you stray. This meta-concentration develops naturally through practice, especially through meditation practice where you are explicitly training yourself to observe your mind. You begin to recognize the signs that your focus is slipping, the subtle shift from engaged concentration to mechanical going through the motions, The moment when your mind starts generating distracting thoughts, the feeling of resistance or boredom that precedes wandering. With this awareness, you can intervene early. You can re-engage before you lose focus completely. You can adjust your approach or take a brief break. You become your own best coach and guide. Brown also teaches about the power of visualization and mental rehearsal as forms of concentration practice. When you visualize something vividly, holding the image steady in your mind with all its sensory details, you are training concentration while also programming your subconscious mind toward your goals. Athletes use this technique extensively, mentally rehearsing their performances in detail, and research shows it actually improves physical performance. The body responds to vivid visualization almost as it responds to actual practice. You can use this same technique for any goal, spending time each day visualizing yourself as the person you want to become, doing the things you want to do, living the life you want to live, and not just seeing it vaguely but experiencing it fully in your imagination with all the senses engaged. What does it look like, sound like, feel like? Who is there? What are you doing? Make it vivid, make it real, hold it steady in your mind. And this practice serves double duty, training concentration while also imprinting your goals deeply into your subconscious where they influence your automatic behaviors and decisions. The relationship between concentration and intuition is another fascinating aspect that Brown understood before modern neuroscience validated it. Intuition, that sense of knowing something without conscious reasoning, actually emerges from concentration, from focused attention that allows your subconscious mind to process vast amounts of information beneath your conscious awareness and deliver insights. When you are scattered, your intuition cannot emerge because your conscious mind is too noisy, too busy. There is no space for subtle insights to surface. When you are concentrated, especially in that relaxed, focused state, intuition flows naturally, ideas emerge, solutions appear. You just know things without knowing how you know. This is why many breakthroughs happen not during intense focused thinking but during rest periods after intense focused thinking, in the shower, on walks, just before sleep, because your subconscious has been working on the problem during your concentrated attention and delivers the solution when your conscious mind quiets down. This process requires both focused attention to load the problem into your subconscious and relaxed attention to allow solutions to emerge, both forms of concentration working together. Brown would encourage you to honor your intuition, to trust those subtle knowings that arise during or after concentrated attention, while also verifying them through reason and testing when appropriate. The concentrated person develops powerful intuition because they spend so much time in focused states that their subconscious becomes a reliable ally, consistently delivering insights and guidance. The scattered person barely experiences intuition because their mental noise drowns out those subtle signals. As we move toward the conclusion of this deep exploration, I want to address the inevitable question. How long does it take to develop real mastery of concentration? Brown would say it depends on many factors: your starting point, your consistency of practice, the quality of your practice, your life circumstances, but he would also say that you will see significant benefits very quickly, within days or weeks, even though complete mastery might take months or years. This is encouraging. You don't have to wait until you have perfect concentration to benefit from your practice. Every increment of improvement makes your life better immediately. Think of it like physical fitness. Your first workout doesn't make you an athlete, but it does make you slightly fitter than you were. It starts the process, it creates momentum. Every practice session builds on the previous ones. Every moment of focused attention strengthens the neural pathways. Every time you notice distraction and return to focus, you are programming your brain for better concentration. The effects are cumulative. They compound over time. Small improvements multiply into dramatic transformations. Brown emphasizes that you should not wait for motivation, should not wait until you feel like practicing, because that day may never come. Motivation follows action more often than it precedes it. Start practicing even when you don't feel motivated, even when it seems pointless, even when you doubt it will help, and you will find that motivation emerges during the practice itself, that focusing becomes its own reward. The hardest part is starting. Once you begin, once you get into the flow of concentrated attention, it feels good, it feels right, it feels like coming home to yourself. One final crucial aspect of Brown's teaching is the importance of patience and self-compassion in developing concentration. Most people are incredibly harsh with themselves. They beat themselves up when their mind wanders, when they lose focus, when they don't practice as consistently as they intended. This harshness is counterproductive. It creates resistance and tension that make concentration harder. It turns the practice into punishment rather than growth. Brown advocates treating yourself with the same kindness and patience you would show a child learning a new skill, recognizing that mistakes are part of learning, that setbacks are temporary, that every moment is a fresh opportunity to begin again. When you notice your mind has wandered, don't criticize yourself. Don't spiral into self-judgment. Just gently bring your attention back. That's all. Just come back. Again and again and again. This gentle return is the practice. This is how the muscle builds, through thousands of gentle returns, not through harsh self-criticism or forced concentration. The concentrated mind is a relaxed mind, not a tense mind. It is focused but not strained, engaged but not gripping, working hard but not suffering. Brown's ultimate vision is of human beings living up to their potential, fulfilling their unique purpose, contributing their gifts to the world, and he saw concentration as the key that unlocks this potential. Within you right now exists extraordinary capability, tremendous untapped potential, possibilities you cannot even imagine, and the only thing keeping this potential locked away is scattered attention, unfocused mental energy. Learn to concentrate, master your attention, focus your mind with power and precision, and you unlock everything. Every dormant ability awakens. Every hidden resource becomes available. Every goal becomes achievable. This is not exaggeration, not motivational hyperbole, it is observable fact. Study anyone who has achieved anything significant and you will find highly developed concentration. You will find someone who learned to focus their mental energy toward clear objectives and maintain that focus over time despite distractions and difficulties. This skill is more important than intelligence, more important than education, more important than connections or money or luck, because this skill determines how effectively you use everything else you have. And this skill is completely trainable, completely within your control. Please, take what you have learned here and put it into practice, not someday but today, not perfectly but consistently, not when circumstances are ideal but right now in the middle of your messy real life. Choose one thing that matters to you, one goal you have been putting off or approaching half-heartedly, and commit to giving it concentrated attention every single day, even if just for 15 minutes at first. Eliminate distractions during that time. Turn off your phone, close unnecessary tabs, sit down and focus completely on this one thing. Notice when your mind wanders, and it will wander constantly at first, and gently bring it back without judgment or frustration, just bring it back. Do this tomorrow, do this every day, make it as non-negotiable as breathing, as essential as eating. Protect this time fiercely because it is literally your future you are protecting, your potential you are nurturing, your dreams you are honoring. In a month, look back at what you have accomplished through just 15 or 30 minutes of daily concentrated effort and you will be amazed. You will hardly believe how much progress you made in such short sessions. In 6 months, you will be doing things you currently think are impossible. You will have developed abilities you don't currently believe you possess. You will have become someone new, someone more capable, more focused, more powerful. In a year, your entire life could look completely different, not through some miracle, not through luck or external intervention, but through the consistent application of concentrated mental energy toward your chosen objectives, through mastering the fundamental skill that underlies all achievement, all success, all personal transformation. This is Brown's promise to you, and it is a promise backed by the evidence of every successful person who has ever lived, a promise you can verify for yourself through practice. Remember also to bring concentration to your relationships, to your conversations, to your experiences, not just to your work and goals. Be fully present when someone is speaking to you. Give them the gift of your complete attention. Listen not to respond but to understand, to truly see and hear them. Be fully present when you eat, tasting your food, noticing textures and flavors. Be fully present when you walk, feeling your body move, seeing what is around you. Be fully present in all the moments of your life, because concentration is not just about achieving external goals. It is about living fully, about being here for your own life, about extracting the maximum richness from every experience. The concentrated life is a rich life, a meaningful life, a life lived at full intensity rather than half presence, a life of depth rather than mere surface, a life of creation rather than mere consumption. This is available to you, right now, not in some distant future, not after you fix all your problems, not when circumstances are perfect, but now, through the simple practice of gathering your scattered attention and directing it with purpose. Brown believed passionately in human potential, in your potential specifically, in the greatness that lies dormant within every person waiting only to be awakened through concentration. He believed that no one is doomed to mediocrity, that no one lacks what is necessary for success, that the only limitation is self-imposed through habits of distraction that can be changed. He believed in you before you were born, believed in the person you could become through mastering your mind, and his teachings are his gift to you, a roadmap to that transformation, a practical method for unlocking your potential. As we truly come to the end now, I want to leave you with one final thought. Your life is happening now, in this moment, not in the past which is gone, not in the future which is imaginary, but now, and the quality of this moment, the richness of your experience, the effectiveness of your actions, all depend on the quality of your attention, on your concentration or lack of it. Every moment you spend in scattered distraction is a moment of your life you will never get back. Every moment you spend in focused presence is a moment fully lived, fully experienced, fully yours. Choose presence, choose focus, choose concentration, choose to be here for your own life, to inhabit your experience fully, to direct your energy purposefully, to become the author of your story rather than a passive character reacting to circumstances. This choice transforms everything. It is the choice that separates those who merely exist from those who truly live, those who dream from those who achieve, those who wish from those who create. The power is in your hands, always has been, always will be. You have just been looking for it in the wrong places, outside yourself when it was inside all along. In your ability to direct your attention, to focus your mind, to concentrate your energy. Take this power, use it, practice it daily, and watch as your life transforms in ways you currently cannot imagine. Watch as goals that seemed impossible become achievable, as problems that seemed insurmountable become solvable, as the person you have always wanted to be emerges from within you. Before we part, if this deep exploration of Henry Harrison Brown's wisdom on concentration has brought value to your day, if it has sparked something within you, illuminated a path forward, given you hope or clarity or determination, please consider liking this content and subscribing to Audiobook Library. Your support, through these simple actions, means more than you might realize. It helps this channel grow and reach more people who need these transformative messages. People who are searching for exactly what Brown has to teach. People who are ready to change their lives through mastering their attention. Every like, every subscription, every share extends the reach of this wisdom and brings it to someone who might be at a crucial turning point in their life. Someone who needs to hear exactly this message at exactly this moment. Together, we create a community of focused, purposeful individuals supporting each other on the road to success, lifting each other up, inspiring each other, proving that transformation is possible for anyone willing to practice. Thank you for listening. Truly, deeply, thank you for being here, for giving your attention to these ideas, for caring enough about your growth and development to invest this time. Thank you for committing to your own transformation through the power of concentration, for being willing to do the work, to practice consistently, to believe in your potential even when circumstances suggest you should give up. The world needs people like you, people who refuse to live small, who refuse to accept limitation, who are willing to develop their minds and focus their energy toward meaningful goals, toward creation rather than mere consumption, toward contribution rather than mere taking. You are embarking on a journey that will transform not only your own life but ripple outward to affect everyone you touch, everyone who sees your example, everyone who benefits from the focused work you do, the focused presence you bring, the focused love you share. This is Brown's legacy, and now it becomes yours to carry forward, to practice, to embody, to share. Go forth with concentration, with purpose, with power, knowing that within you lies everything you need to achieve everything you desire, knowing that the only thing that has been missing is the focused attention to unlock it all, and knowing that you now possess the knowledge and the method to develop that concentration, to master your mind, to claim your potential, to live the life you were meant to live. The road to success is before you, clearly marked by Brown's wisdom, proven by countless others who have walked it before you, waiting only for you to take the first step, to begin the practice, to commit to the journey. That first step is concentration, that practice is directing your attention, that journey is from scattered distraction to focused power, and it begins right now, in this moment, with your decision to master your mind and thereby master your life.